Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the series on self-realization, and for the past 2 talks we are covering the meditation techniques. So how do I realize, or how do gain the self-realization? For that I need to prepare my mind, and here we are going step-by-step process of Chitta Ekagrata and Chitta Vishalata. That's what we said, concentration of the mind and expansion of the mind. We are already doing simultaneously Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, and now we are sitting in the seat of Upasana Yoga, where we are sitting in the seat of meditation and contemplating on the reality that we understand. So for that we need to slowly leave the attachments to the body, mind and intellect, and that's how do we do it, and then that's what the whole process of meditation technique is. Meditation is not for realization, because it doesn't give me knowledge, but meditation is to help me to prepare my mind so that knowledge comes in, because knowledge is right there, because I am there all the time. So recognition of myself as I am without any attributive content can only happen if I have the mind sensitive enough to recognize. Here sensitivity of the mind is involved in terms of how much of raga dveshas I have, because my mind is going outward all the time. I want this, I don't like this, and all the transactions from morning and evening and day in and day out all the time, because that's what we have been doing not only the whole life so far, life after life after life, we have been habituated to go after like that. So now we have to withdraw the mind, and that's what is called sannyasa. Sannyasa, withdrawn our mind from the possessions, obligations, relationships or transactions. What Swami Paramarthananda calls it as port, P for possessions, O for obligations, and R for relationships, and T for transactions, where I withdraw unnecessarily possessions. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine, and the obligations, I have to do this, minimize it to the degree possible, and relationships as well as the transactions in the world, so that the mind doesn't get entangled with that. That's the whole idea. There is nothing to do, no problem in having that, as long as we play the game of life without getting affected. But when we are playing, we take it ourselves as I am, and this is mine, and that is, and all the anger and all that is causing a problem. Therefore one has to be very careful. So reduction of the port involves minimizing that, and when I sit in the seat of meditation, my mind doesn't unnecessarily go into all fields of I want this, what happened to this, what happened to that, what happened, because all the things that I am worried about, and that's why I'm having a restless sleep also. I don't have any sleep also, because my mind is, the same video is going on and on and on and on. So in order to stop that, you have to withdraw the mind. You cannot withdraw the mind unless the mind is attached to something. This is called sannyasa yoga. Sannyasa means renunciation, yoga means attachment. So called attachment detachment technique. So I had to attach myself to something higher to detach myself from the lower, otherwise it will fall down. If I remove something and I don't have anything to hold on, then I'll fall down, obviously. So first I have to hold on to something and then detach from the lower. That is the methodology. That's what is essentially involved in deconditioning the mind. So Vedanta provides you a process But the process is such that slowly you withdraw. And the process is such that the process itself drops out, because that's the nature of this kind of process. So one has to be careful. Don't get confused with what J.K. Krishnamurti says. Oh, it is unconditioned mind. You have to uncondition it. But how do you know how to condition it? Don't ask me, because you are asking a procedure. Then what should I do? Observe your mind. Before you observe, you go along with the mind, because mind has an attachment to things. And unless you detach from the mind, you cannot observe the mind. I can sit back and observe only. I have detachment. So how do I get detachment? How do I observe the mind? Is essentially what we are talking about in terms of meditation technique. So we said first is observe one by one. First, breathing exercise. So we said stage 1 is doing pranayama. Pranayama is controlling the breath. So breathing in, holding the breath, and breathing out. So start with your meditation first with pranayama. In that way, you are first bringing the mind into it, along with the body and the intellect. So whenever you find the mind has run away, sir, I cannot meditate because my mind is all over. So start with the pranayama again. So whenever you discover that the mind has run away, at least that is better you discovered, because you also don't go along with the mind. That means you are able to stand apart to know that the mind has run away. So you can do this exercise even while walking. Walking is mechanical walking. But see where the mind is. When you are walking, mind is not available there where you are. It will be thinking about this or it will be thinking about that. And try to observe where the mind is going. That's where the mind has attachments. But when you try to observe the mind feels shy, so comes back, because nobody wants to be observed when they are doing something. So when you yourself, who is that yourself? Your mind only. So part of the mind is observing how the rest of the mind is going. So the rest of the mind also comes back and be an observer. So that's how you bring the mind back, by very observation. Provided you don't get along with the mind and get lost in the where the mind is involved. So therefore, in order to bring the mind into the seat of meditation, we said the first stage is do pranayama. How long? Until you are feeling comfortable enough. So in the pranayama, the technique, you have to sit in a comfortable position, and you have to make sure that your vertebral column is straight and the neck and the vertebral column are in line, because that's good for the body back also. Most of the people stoop and then body problems come in. So how you sit it, how long you can sit in the straight position, and that helps the body also, and you will have less back problems also. And during the pranayama, and they may have kundalini or that, without going all those details, essentially we feel that you are more comfortable or at least stable in that position, where the neck and the body are line. Otherwise you will be falling this way or falling that way and all that. So that keeps you awake when you keep the head and the body in line. Then do the pranayama, breathing exercises, until you are comfortable that the mind is available. Then the second stage we said is prana vichana. That means observing the mind. Now you stand apart as though and be an observer of how the air is going in, how the air is filling up the lungs, and how the air is going out, without interfering with the process of the breathing. You just be an observer as though you are standing apart, like a witness. Make sure that the system is doing properly. So that is essentially supervising the job. Without doing the job, at the same time you are responsible in a way, and that's what essentially a witnessing. So it's called prana vichana. Vichana means observing prana, the breathing process. And that is the second stage. And in the process of second stage, if you find your mind has run away without observing, then go back to first stage again. So this has to be done as a routinely, methodically, and until you have control of the mind. Because the Arjuna says, Chanchalam me mana Krishna prabhadi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham nye vayoro sudushkaram. It's very difficult to control. Krishna, you are asking me to control. How can it be possible? So when somebody says it's very difficult, you agree with him. Yes, it is difficult. Asamshayam mahabaho. But it can be done by constant abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha krishnate. By giving up all those attachments, vairagya, you can bring the mind back, and by practice you can control the mind. That's called abhyasa. This abhyasa, vairagya, has to be done all the time until you drop out of this world. So this is a methodology where you can control your own mind, because this is my mind but I am not able to control it. Then what good is say my mind? Mind controls you rather than you control the mind. So I should be able to control my mind, and now you go. This is what picturization of Ganesha. You know the Ganesha, and the little mouse is there, and all the sweets are there. And the mouse dare not touch any of the sweets. The mouse is the mind. That's a small compared to the big head of the Ganesha, which is intellect. The Ganesha stands for intellect. And small mouth and a big ears. That means you have to listen only, less talking, more listening to what? To the higher realities about Vedanta. And you control so that the mind doesn't go and indulge any way they want. Only when you allow it, it has to do. That is what is called real sannyasa. Where, like a Ganesha, controlling the mouse, but make sure before you ride on the mouse, you make sure that it knows what it has to do. So that's exactly what the picture, symbolism of Ganesha is. At least one of the meaning of the Ganesha symbolism. And now, we are talking about prana vichana. That is the second stage in the process. And the third stage we are talking about is deha vichana. Not only the prana, now observe the whole body now. The whole body as though it is different from you. So therefore don't say, this can be your body, but you are not the body. You are observing your equipment, just like observing your car to make sure everything is okay. The same way, and you observe the body from the top of the head to all the way the tip of the toes. You observe while closing your eyes. We didn't mention that. You have to close your eyes, so that why you have to close your eyes? When you close your eyes, at least you don't not distracted by the observations, because eyes can easily get distracted. So when you close your eyes, anything that's happening you are not conscious of. Only when they make sounds and noises and all that, you become conscious of, because you cannot close your ears, unfortunately, or fortunately, you cannot close your ears. And therefore, you have to bear with all sorts of noises. So when you do the meditation, don't go into mass-scale meditation. Do it quietly, calmly, alone by yourself, when there is no other noise, so that there are less distractions for the mind. Otherwise, somebody coughing there. You have meditation classes, you will see everybody going there to meditation classes, and all the time what they will be observing, somebody is coughing, somebody doing, because they have become restless to sit at one place, and your attention is going there because you cannot close your ears. So this is what essentially problem. And the body pain becomes so problem that you say, when the meditation will be over, so that I can stand. This is a so-called meditation classes. So if you know how to do it, that is, the techniques are being taught there, and you have to apply the technique when you are alone by yourself, and do it wherever you can do it. Oh, I should do only in my meditation in the morning or all that. That's true, do that. But whenever you find yourself sitting in calmly, quietly, switch your mind to the meditation, where you may be observing or closing your eyes, but your mind is mentally contemplating on that rather than useless things. That's going to happen. Otherwise, mind will be running to here, there, where your attachments are. It doesn't come to my house or my problem. It goes to your problems only, because that's where your investment is. So therefore, the Deha Vikshana is observing from mind all the way, is because this is the gross body, easily can be observed. Now we talk about the third stage. So first stage is the pranayama, then prana vikshana, then third is the deha vikshana, then we are talking about mano vikshana, observing the mind. This is little bit subtler and therefore more difficult also. More subtler, most difficult also. So how do I observe the mind? So there are several techniques, and here the japa yoga comes to help you. So where japa yoga is, you give a mind a navigation for it to do. Otherwise mind will be running all over. You give the mind some navigation to do, and there concentration is essentially mind does not run somewhere else. So what kind of japa I had to do? This is where Ishvara comes into picture. The picturization of the Lord in a form helps you here for mind to concentrate. So it's not the idol worship, it is idealization of the totality in a form for the mind to pray. So therefore, the picturization of the Lord in a particular form helps your mind to focus on it rather than everywhere. So what form is suitable? Whatever you are brought up with, from whatever you conditioned from your childhood on, use that form, knowing well its Lord is not the really form, but Lord can be represented in form. How is that? And this is where one has to understand why the Hinduism talks about so many gods and all that. It's not that so many gods are there. Hindus don't have many gods. Actually, Hindus have only one God. And someone asked, how come you have Hindus have so many gods? I said, we have only one God. So you have only one God? Actually, we have only God only. There's nobody else. Because everything is Him. So you have to understand what exactly when Hindus talk about, because depending upon the nature of the student who is inquiring, is given a methodology. We'll analyze this problem, because right now I want to concentrate on the mind as a vichra. Since the mind cannot concentrate on itself because the mind wants to run away, so you have to give a navigation for the mind for you to concentrate. And the navigation is taking the name of the Lord. What kind of Lord we are talking about? So for me, I'm coming from a Vaishnava tradition. So for me, Narayana is the symbolism, and I have studied Narayana antar bahischata sarvam vyapya Narayana sthitaha. He says Narayana, that's the Narayana Suktam, we learn all those things. And it says antaha bahihi, if he is inside, he is outside, everywhere. That Narayana, I can picturize him in the form that is in terms of four hands and all that. That's only symbolism to represent in that form for me to see, so that my mind doesn't run away other than the picturization of the Lord. When I picturize the Lord, if I remember all the slokas that I have learned about Lord Narayana, and that's what one says, he is nothing but Antaryami. Narayana means Naranam Ayanam Yasya Saha Narayanaha, the one who is the shelter for all the Naras. Nara means that which is the Ra means destructible. Nara means that which is not destructible for all jivas. That means the essential, the mind with the Chidabhasa, he is the shelter for all. That's what the symbolism of Narayana means. Or Rama means the Sarvesha Ramanti, the one who everybody revels on Rama. And also in everybody Rama revels also. So both meanings Rama. So Rama Rama, even Ulta also Mara Mara, you come back to the same Rama. But As long as concept is clear, it's the mind that's required, and the mind should understand. You say, I can do gaga boo, I can do japa and gaga boo. That's why the transcendental meditation says you pay something to get a mantra. Mantra is the sum of name of the Lord only. And since they have only fixed number of mantras, they want to make sure that you don't give the same mantra to other guy. So they take you promise not to reveal your mantra to anybody. Of course, there is a joke there. So after the newly married people, after 1 year, the husband was getting bored. So what he went to transcendental meditation course and came back and sitting there and doing in the early morning doing his japa, but chanting the name of whatever the name they have given, mantra, called mantra. So he was doing the japa. So wife thought he has a new fad or something, but this fellow is regularly doing every day. She says, what are you doing? He says, oh, I am doing japa. What are you? I am chanting mantra. What is that mantra? I cannot tell you, because he took a promise that he won't tell you. I am your wife. You should be able to tell me. No, not even wife, I cannot tell you. She was really angry. Say, this fellow may be contemplating on something, and he doesn't care for me anymore. He is only sitting all the time in room saying something which I don't understand what it is, and he doesn't want to say what it is about. So she was patiently getting angry. At last she was so vexed. Says, either you tell me or I'm going to get out. He was just thinking on chanting without listening to what she was saying. So she was so angry that she packed everything and left the room banging the door. And he heard the banging of the door. He slowly opened his eyes, said, my God, this really works. So what he wants is get rid of his wife. So that's not what we are talking about. This is just a joke. But what he is talking about is concentrating on the meaningful mantra that you can appreciate the totality in that form. So when I think of Lord Narayana, in my case, where I don't think of anything else and all the problems, I only think of the higher things. That is what is required for the japa. It can be Lord Shiva, it can be Lord any Ishta Devata that which you have been brought up with. Oh, I don't have any God. Then visualize the presence of the totality itself, the whole universe, a creator, and whatever concept you have, that glorify that concept in a form that you can see. It is a concept that is crystallized in your thought. That's what your mind, so that your mind doesn't get dissipated in anything else. That is the idea. So, Ishvara, now bringing Ishvara japa, so manovichyanam, observing the mind, you are now bringing a japa yoga or bhakti aspects are involved. So when I am devoted to the Lord in that form, then my mind doesn't get dissipated in all other things. So now we have matured enough that I don't want anything else, I want only the Lord. So the imagination of the Lord becomes important in a particular form. But this is what the mano vichana, observing the mind. But if the mind getting dissipated again, go back to the back step. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4 is mano vichana. First stage is pranayama, prana vichana, deha vichana, and now fourth one is mano vichana. This has to be practiced constantly, continuously. If you do for a month or two, your mind becomes mature enough to do. I'm not able to do it. Go back and do just pranayama until your mind is able to go to next step. So anybody can start doing it. Even if initially you cannot do it, at least everybody can breathe it and control the breathing. Everybody can do that part. And go to next step only when you are confident enough, go to the observation of the mind. So this can be done by anybody, irrespective of whether I study Vedanta or not. So that's why the meditation, transcendental meditation is taught. But what is that I am transcending and all that we need to know, not that I can float in the air for 5 minutes. Oh, you can pay some money and the airplane will take you. You don't need to spend years of sadhana just to float 5 inches above. So, just for the joke, I was in charge of some Thana religious committee organization for a big meeting, yearly meeting they have Thana. So they put me in charge of the religious committee. So I'm selecting the speakers from the different angles from the religious people. So somebody called me, so you have to invite us. I said, what is your specialty? We are doing the meditation, and so what are you meditating? Oh, we are from the transcendental meditation, and we can float 6 inches, and we can show everybody how they can do it. I said, what is there to see? No, our criteria is 9 inches. When you reach 9 inches, please give me a call. So this is what they want to market as though that is a great thing to do. We don't want any, because if you float it, you may fall down. So we can fall down easily without falling down. So what you need to do is keep the mind focused in the higher. What is higher? Higher is that which is not lower, because you are falling in lower. That's called falling in love. Whereas higher devotion is raising up to higher. So what is that higher? Where the mind becomes a calm and quiet and serene in the process. So mind is getting rid of all the agitations, and that's what is called purification of the mind. So what is the purification? Getting rid of garbage. That is, anything I say, when a plate is purified means all the trash, that is garbage on top of the plate, has to be washed out. When the plate is clean, nothing is there on top. That's what the whole idea is. So mind should be clean from what? All the garbage. How do I clean? Put a soap there first. So soap has to be, a detergent is required. This is what the process of soaping, where you get rid of the process. So keep the mind attention to higher to remove the lower. What is higher? Then leave that higher to higher to higher. So essentially I am climbing up the steps and dropping each one. And that's how I can develop chitta ekagrata, concentration on the mind. So bringing Ishvara comes important step for meditation. So therefore, how do I bring Ishvara? It says having a form of the God for which you can appreciate the totality. How do I develop? Deliberately you develop. So that's how the families in Hindu tradition, they take the children to the temple, and there they sing. Child may not understand it, but the parents are prostrating to the Lord, and the children also prostrate along with the parents, and therefore as a habit they start, and therefore it becomes habitual to visualize that, and slowly from the habit they will start questioning it. When the questioning is done, then the explanations are provided so that the mind can appreciate the discipline that is being brought up. So that's why the Hinduism, they call it a way of life, because this is the way of life where the parents guide through. As they follow, the children follow. The parents don't themselves follow and they want the children to follow, nothing will work. So we have in the Chinmaya Mission Balavihar, where the parents themselves don't know, but they want children to come, particularly in the US, because they want the children to develop Hinduism and understand Hinduism, because they don't want the other influence of all other religions, though they bring the children to Balavihar. Then what happens? But the parents themselves, they want to go outside and do some shopping and all that. They themselves don't know what Hinduism is. Other than whatever they brought up, they have not understood the meaning of it. And therefore, Chinmaya Mission, at least in the states, insist that the parents, at least one of the parents, have to attend the adult classes when the children classes are going on. So therefore, when the children raise the question, and parents have to also answer at home, and parents don't believe and don't follow the traditional values, we ask the children to do prayer every day in the morning, get up, wash you, and the parents themselves are not doing, then what good is that? So they won't do it. and the parents complain, my children is going out, is marrying somebody else, because you have brought up like that. We have in fact a friend, classmate, my colleague, and they brought the children, and the son got married to an American girl, and the mother was complaining. He wanted him to marry only Hindu girl. The son said, I don't know what Hinduism. You never taught me anything about Hinduism. So why do you expect me only marry a Hindu girl? So it's not the problem of the child, it's the problem of the parent. It's not the question of whom he marries, but the tradition helps you to channel in the particular way, and that becomes important for tuning the mind. And that's exactly involved in the Ishvara. So now we are going to talk about Ishvara Darshanam and the bhakti required for meditation, because these are not separate. Bhakti yoga, karma yoga, all that becomes important part of the preparing the mind and purifying the mind. Why my people cannot abide in the knowledge? Because the mind is not purified. We'll discuss that slowly as we go along in this series. So with that we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Sishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.